All right, everybody, we're going to get moving. All right, call the hearing to order, continuation of the hearing from the last time. And we've got some staff presentations to start with, and then we'll move from there. We're missing one of our commissioners, Casey Weeks, who will be on his way down, hopefully in time to get right into the meat of things so we don't miss his opinion on any of the matters. Staff, take it away.
Okay, the staff that's going to talk is texting Casey right now for you. Come on down, right?
Yep, that's all you have. Exactly. Come on down.
Okay. Thank you. So, I just wanted to let...
You want mine?
No, I think I can speak up. I just wanted to let you know that we have Kathy Corliss back, you remember her, our consultant, and you all don't get Dan Cairns very much, but he is our city attorney. I don't know if Will had met him before. Okay, new planning commissioner. And we have Jennifer Caden back, who has started now. The last time you introduced her, she hadn't started quite yet, but so you have a 3-member planning department and lots of depth of knowledge sitting here at this table tonight, so feel free to ask questions. So I'm going to talk for just a few minutes, and then Kathy, and then if you have questions of Dan at this point, you may or you may not, but he's here for that. So I just wanted to kind of reiterate, and I did this when I sent out to our short-term rental people, the notice list that don't forget the staff report with the comprehensive plan. That's where your justification comes from for making changes in the municipal code at any level in transportation or population or anything like that. And so right now, tonight, what you're trying to address is what is the impact of short-term rentals on the livability and the availability of housing in the city of Hood River. We have done, in the last few years, we've done a vision, as I've told you, we've done the population, the transportation system plan, the economic opportunities analysis, and now the housing needs analysis. And these are all the documents that were necessary to complete kind of the overall look at the city of Hood River. And the city council has determined that they want you to look at strategy 3 first in the housing strategy of limitation on short-term rentals. Can I finish?
Sure.
It's 2.
Oh, I thought you were saying you wanted to talk to me.
No, strategy 2.
What did I say?
3.
Oh, okay. Strategy 2. See, but then I interrupted myself. Strategy 2. They sent you some direction. They sent basically staff some direction, and based on that direction, we composed the code, primarily Kathy Corliss, that you have in front of you. We have extra copies of it here if anybody would like to look at it as we get through it tonight. Yep. Good. Thank you, Kevin. There's a few hands going up. And so that's where I think your beginning point is the document you have in front of you. But my main task is to tell you that I think the work that we have done, especially from 2005 forward, has addressed this, and this hasn't come out of nowhere. It's looking at availability of land now and in the 20-year horizon. That's an important piece. And the neighborhood livability. 2 important pieces that came up, especially in the vision in 2005, and definitely came up during the economic opportunities analysis too. So I feel that you can do your deliberation tonight and be rest assured that I think that you have the findings needed. But if you want additional findings, that's what I wanted to say too, is say we want you to flesh out more something on goal 9 or on goal 10 or goal 1 or something like that, and then give me that direction. So that's the comprehensive plan piece. Kathy's going to go into the actual code piece.
Hi, Kathy Corliss. I'm a principal with Angelo Planning Group. And as Cindy mentioned, the City Council initiated a draft by providing some direction as a starting place to say, here are the elements that we'd like to see in the first draft. Of course, that's something for the Planning Commission to consider. I I wanted to highlight, I think, not to go into details about the draft that's in front of everybody. I think you all have had a chance to look at it, but just to kind of highlight some of the key elements that I think we could use guidance on. And so the first set of amendments that you'll see in front of you really clarify definitions and uses. And I think those are relatively straightforward. More substantive are the amendments suggested for what we call hosted home share. And that's the portion that regulates when somebody has somebody staying with them in their house. So if you are home and you have visitors coming and short-term rentals, but you're in the house. And so hosted home share, kind of the key elements of that are that a resident's present. So that's that's an element of the code as it's currently drafted. Resident's present, it's limited to 2 guest rooms. And there's some what we might call livability regulations related to parking and occupancy. So you'll see those portions in that draft in front of you, and we'd like to get input on hosted home share, what we think of those, and if we're heading the right direction. And then for what we call vacation home rental, which is the rental of an entire dwelling, the whole thing, where the owner is not present, there's some really key elements to that as well. One of them is that there's a cap proposed, which is capping the total number of permits that would be available in the residential zones only. So it doesn't cap the other non-residential zones, but it's a cap in the residential zones. So of course, yes, no, or change that number would be input we could use. There's a spacing standard. There's also, and again, we'll be looking for input on that as well. There's a specific restriction for the West End area. We'll be looking for input on that. There are standards related to livability, also parking and occupancy. And so I think that it would be helpful to hear from the Planning Commission on that point, as well as what happens where we have existing dwellings that are being rented as vacation home rental. And right now there's language in there that looks at amortizing those and a time frame for that and the process for that. And so again, those are some of the key variables or elements of this current draft that we're interested in hearing about. Thank you. That's all I had on those, unless there are questions. Okay.
I don't have anything in particular. I'll be happy to respond to questions.
It's mainly, Dan's here mainly if you have questions and for guidance,
Gotcha.
things like that. And Casey is coming ASAP.
He's
Okay.
In our packet of testimony, there was a letter from the Ethics Commission. Is that related to this current?
Which
session?
letter was that?
I think it was submitted with somebody's testimony. I can't remember.
It's one that you
it's-
sent out in November.
Yeah.
Did the inquiry.
Okay, so it was initiating
the first
an
one.
It's
inquiry?
for the council.
It was initiating an inquiry, or was
Yeah.
it their response? Anyhow,
So,
It's both.
this is a legislative matter, not quasi-judicial, but still the state conflict of interest rules apply. I think you've heard the script from Cindy. Apply to you and members of your immediate family if you have a financial stake in the outcome of the matter that is before you. So there are a couple of city councilors that are in the business of short-term rentals in varying degrees, and so they have a potential and potentially in the future an actual conflict of interest that they'll have to deal with when this matter comes before them for action. So I submitted a request for an opinion from the commission before there was any draft of these regulations, and I resubmitted it with this planning draft that went to you, and they're processing formulating another opinion on that. So that won't be issued for a while, hopefully before it hits the stage at the city council, but I'm not really sure.
So to follow up on that, Dan, do you feel like there's a necessity for us to do disclosures kind of like we would do in our quasi-judicial process?
Not quasi-judicial types of disclosures, but do any of you have a financial stake in the outcome of this? So that'd be short-term rentals if you or any of the member of your family are in the business that would be subject to this set of regulations. And remember that one thing that the Ethics Commission really keyed in on, if you would be under this program, have to obtain a license and pay the license fee. That's a actual conflict of interest.
So if I can say, I've asked everybody in this in this group twice about this and asked that very specific question, and you all said no, and it's in the record.
And so during the public testimony portion of this proceeding last time, presumably people had the opportunity to kind of question you about
Right.
that.
Yeah.
So,
Planning Commission,
yeah, and you're just
No,
making a
that's right.
recommendation to the
Right.
city council. So,
Okay, thank you.
sure.
All right, you guys, are you ready for me? Awesome. All right. So to give you guys a little bit of a sense of what we kind of anticipate happening this evening, we as the Planning Commission are going to start digging into the details of this, deliberate on what we think should be our recommendation to the City Council. I would like to see this meeting potentially be done by, say, 9 this evening. I think we can probably get somewhere by then. What I anticipate coming out of this meeting tonight is an additional set of recommendations for the staff to clean up and bring back to us on our April 4th meeting. So we will take this current draft, we will either be amending it, changing it, creating some new things, giving staff direction to write that in code language with Kathy's help and Dan's help, bringing it back to us on April 4th. And at that point, we should be able to tidy up any loose ends in it and move it on to council for them to look at. They will be opening up a new public process once they receive that recommendation from us, where they will have written and verbal testimony again in a host of different ways. And so once we pass our recommendation towards them, it'll become available for you guys to take a look at the final version of it. You can write your testimony and start getting ready